The World Economic Forum has recently launched a controversial new initiative that will have animal rights activists up in arms. The WEF is now calling for millions of cats and dogs worldwide to be slaughtered in an effort to reduce the carbon footprint they produce as a result of eating meat. The WEF, which has ordered mainstream media outlets to begin pushing the narrative, wants to introduce an international policy that would require the majority of pet owners to euthanize their animals. CNN, always at the forefront in pushing the globalist agenda, has begun urging its viewers to starve their pets to death in an effort to combat climate change. CNN published an article on their website recently entitled, "Our pets are part of the climate problem. These tips can help you minimize their carbon footprints." In the article, the liberal sadists at CNN argue that the meat-heavy diet of many household pets is causing planet-warming gases to be released into the atmosphere. Responsible pet owners should trade in their best friend for a turtle for the planet. Snakes, turtles, and reptiles can have a really low impact, CNN suggests. Your kitty cat and Pooch, CNN explains, are going to have to eat bugs just like you, assuming Klaus Schwab allows you to keep them at all in the future. Bloomberg, another mouthpiece for the global elite, jumped onto the bandwagon at the same time, urging pet owners to let their pets die to fight inflation. Hollywood celebrity Emma Thompson has gone even further, telling pet owners to eat their own pets to survive the so-called climate crisis. The proposed policy was met with outrage by animal rights groups and pet owners who argue that it's unethical and unnecessary. Many are also concerned about the lack of consultation with pet owners before such a drastic decision was made. Despite the backlash, the WEF maintains that this measure is necessary as it believes that reducing the number of pets around the world will help reduce global warming and other environmental issues caused by overpopulation. It also claims that the policy will help reduce animal cruelty, as it will ensure that no pet is subjected to neglect or mistreatment. The WEF has also come under fire for its lack of transparency in how this initiative was proposed and developed. The organisation has yet to provide any evidence that suggests euthanizing pets will have a positive impact on the environment or combat animal cruelty. However, if you've been paying attention to the WEF's policies in recent times, you'll realise that this is not really about saving the world. WEF policies all have one thing in common. They dehumanise, degrade, and mock us. They are designed to take away all of the joys of life and inflict maximum pain. The campaign to force humanity to give up meat and subsist on bugs and crickets is a good example. A WEF insider actually admitted that it's about crushing the human soul. Why should the peasants be allowed pet companionship in the looming dystopia as a way to cope with the soul-sucking hopelessness and alienation? That's what ineffective and potentially harmful psychiatric antidepressants are for, silly. Then there is the depopulation drive, which was a conspiracy theory for a long time, but is now completely out in the open. They aren't even trying to keep it a secret anymore. According to these two WEF stooges, all religious groups are opposed to the World Economic Forum because religions want more souls and the WEF wants less on the planet.
So in the session we just attended here at the Economic Forum, I think there was a sense of relief actually in your frankness. You brought up some issues that others are reluctant to bring up.
Always. All the religious groups are against me because I'm talking about population. They want more souls. I want less on the planet.
At what point do we stop and say, enough? How many times does the World Economic Forum have to declare their sinister intentions before the world stops and listens? Klaus Schwab's right-hand man Yuval Noah Harari, who has a history of saying the quiet part out loud, last week admitted what many people have long suspected. According to Harari, who is promoting his new book, the big political question of the 21st century is, what do we need so many humans for?
A lot of people sense that they are being left behind and left out of the story, even if their material conditions are still relatively good. In the 20th century, what was common to all the stories, the liberal, the fascist, the communist, is that the big heroes of the story were the common people. Not necessarily all people, but if you lived, say, I don't know, in the Soviet Union in the 1930s, life was very grim. But when you looked at the propaganda posters on the walls, that depicted the glorious future, you were there. You looked at the posters which showed steelworkers and farmers in heroic poses. And it was obvious that this is the future. Now, when people look at the posters on the walls or listen to TED Talks, they hear a lot of, these big ideas and big words about machine learning and genetic engineering and blockchain and globalization, and they are not there. They are no longer part of the story of the future. And I think that again, this is an hypothesis. If I try to understand and to connect to the deep resentment of people in many places around the world, part of what might be going there is people realize, and they are correct in thinking that the future doesn't need me. You have all these smart people in California and in New York and in Beijing, and they are planning this amazing future with artificial intelligence and bioengineering and global connectivity and whatnot, and they don't need me. So maybe if they are nice, they will throw some crumbs my way, like universal basic income. But it's much worse psychologically to feel that you are useless than to feel that you are exploited.
And it's not even the first time Harari has let slip regarding their plans for humanity. He recently declared that the WEF considers the vast majority of the human population to be obsolete, useless, and redundant. The WEF advisor assessed the widespread anxiety among common people as being rooted in a fear of being left behind in a future run by smart people. Such fears are justified, according to Harari, who spoke on behalf of the elites and confirmed, "We just don't need the vast majority of you."
If you go back to the middle of the 20th century, and it doesn't matter if you're in the United States with Roosevelt, or if you're in Germany with Hitler, or if you're in the USSR with Stalin, and you think about building the future, then your building materials are those millions of people who are working hard in the factories, in the farms, the soldiers you need them. You don't have any kind of future without them. And now fast forward to the early 21st century, when we just don't need the vast majority of the population.
Because
the future is about developing more and more sophisticated technology, like, again, artificial intelligence, bioengineering. Most people don't contribute anything to that, except perhaps for their data. And whatever people are still doing, which is useful, these technologies increasingly will make redundant and will make it possible to replace the people.
Of course, the mainstream has been co-opted by the World Economic Forum, and they'll try to cancel you if you dare to speak any sense about any of these issues. According to the mainstream media in 2020, obesity is healthy, the vaccines are not causing people to keel over and die, and abortion is love. George Orwell warned us about these times. He said they would try to convince us that war is peace. How right he was. Now they're trying to convince us that euthanizing our pets is a way to reduce animal cruelty. Only time will tell if this controversial policy is adopted by countries around the world, but one thing is for sure, pet owners are not going to go down without a fight, and nor should they. The World Economic Forum has issued a series of chilling warnings to the people of the world. Hand over your sovereignty to the global elite, or face certain death. The power-hungry cabal of billionaires and politicians has long plotted to enslave the masses, and now they're making their move. If we refuse to comply with their demands, the WEF warns, we will face certain doom. They claim only by handing over our freedom and autonomy to the elite can we hope to avoid the catastrophes that are looming on the horizon. But more and more people are refusing to submit to the WEF's tyrannical demands. Brave activists and rebels are rising up to fight back against the global elite, determined to defend their sovereignty at any cost, determined to protect their families and those they love. Will you join them in the fight for freedom, or will you cower in fear and submit to the demands of the global elite? The choice is yours, but whatever you do, do not underestimate the consequences of your choices. If you choose to stand up and fight, then welcome to the fold. I know at times it can feel dark and lonely, but the masses are waking up and the elite won't be able to take over as easily as they thought they could. Please like and subscribe to this channel so we can continue sharing the news that the mainstream do not dare to touch. And please share this video with anybody you think is receptive to hearing the truth. Stay strong. We will win this fight.